Giving in to the lie that marriage and motherhood will ruin your life could actually be the thing holding you back from the greatest adventure you've ever embarked on. Yeah, so I'm a policy analyst at the Heritage Foundation. I work in our Center for Technology and the Human Person. I have two daughters, a little girl who's almost 3 and a little girl who just turned 1. The question of if I wanted to become a mother was a really complicated question. When I was in college, I felt the tension that I think many women walk through today, which is I've worked so hard to succeed academically. I have these passions that I care about. How does that square with wanting to be a faithful and present mother? And what does that look like for the future? And I really wrestled with those questions to the point that I broke up with my now husband for a time because I just needed space to process it. And it wasn't until I had many faithful mentors really come alongside me and help me think through these things to process careers that matched my desire to become a mother and also really challenged me with the goodness of children, that ultimately the fears that I had were going to pale in comparison to the joy and delight of children, even if it was hard and does require real sacrifice. I am way more efficient in my career now than I ever was before having children. And I heard other women say this, but there's such a real factor of when you have children and when you commit to being present to the degree that you can with your job, all of a sudden you start looking at your day and you say, okay, I have X number of hours to get this work done while my children are sleeping or being taken care of. And if I don't get this work done, then it's over. And that gives you the greatest focus and motivation. And so I feel like I'm way more focused. I have more clarity in my career, but I also just make good use of my time. I may not take as many coffee breaks during the day, but at least at the end of the day, I know that I worked hard and was able to be there with my children. Very practically for my career in this season, because so much of my work is focused on research and coalitions, I have the freedom to do that work in times when my children are sleeping. So in this season of life, I'm really intentional about getting up very early in the morning and knocking out 2 to 3 hours of work before my children even wake up. And it's certainly not the norm that I prescribe for every woman, but it is the thing that's worked really well for our family so that then I have more flexibility as they're waking up to be present with them, to have breakfast, to invest in those early hours. And I make the most of our nap times too. So our children have thankfully been very great sleepers. And so as they sleep for 3 hours in the afternoon, that is my time to lock in again. And then outside of that, we make time and we figure out what help we need to fill in the other gaps. And family and community are so important. You need a supportive workplace, and I'm blessed to work in one of the most pro-family workplaces when it comes to pursuing great work and truly supporting your family is central to who you are and to what flourishing looks like in your life. But we're also blessed to have family who's so supportive and who really makes it possible to do the work that we do. To prioritize motherhood first, the season certainly has sacrifices. It means that when I look at conference opportunities, sometimes the scheduling just doesn't work, or it would require me to be on the road more than I want to be in this season of having really young children. It also practically means that the jobs that I'm interested in right now are jobs that allow for that freedom and flexibility and support for the family. So it means that I'm not pursuing more intense jobs that if I didn't have young children, I would love to do, and maybe at some point we'll get to do. But for right now, it's worth it to me to be in a job that I love, but that fully supports my desire to be present with my children. And that's worth way more than any job promotions or new opportunities. And I think some of the more practical levels is that my husband and I have been very intentional in how we think about work and children. And for my career, for his career, we want to approach it by asking what is good for our family first, and then we want everything else that we do, our work, our investments, our time, to flow from that central question of what is good for our family. And so it means that we've had really firm boundaries at times about how often I'll be out of the home working or what hours I do work. So maybe for a lot of people it doesn't make sense, but for me it's way better to get up early and know that I have more flexibility during other hours with my girls. Even if it is a big sacrifice, I have to go to bed on time, I'm getting up very early. It's not easy, but it's worth the sacrifice to make that happen. And I think, yeah, a lot of the sacrifice comes down to having a clear idea of the goals that you have and the boundaries you have in place, so that when you are making those decisions, you know that you're making them in alignment with your values and it's not just a reaction to things being more difficult than you wanted them to be at home. Without a doubt, children are the best blessing and delight and joy. There's simply nothing that compares with the smile of your child when you wake them up in the morning and they look at you like you're the greatest thing they've ever seen, and the way that they laugh and they play and you see their personality, even as small babies start coming out. You're present to discipline them and be there in the hard moments where they're having a bad day and really fussy. And then you're also there in the moments where they're laughing and playing and they're trying to play peekaboo with you for the first time and it's the cutest thing ever, or they're learning how to sing or how to count, taking their first steps. There's simply nothing that compares to the joy of seeing life through the eyes of a child, with all the wonder and delight and gratitude that comes with that. I think one of the most important things is the opportunity for flexible remote work. It doesn't mean that every position or every job will make sense for that, but being as open and as encouraging as possible for women who do have young children, especially, to have that option. I think the second thing really goes into the culture that you create. For many women, they're incredibly nervous to tell their boss that they're pregnant because they're afraid that it will signal that they're not serious about their career, that they're stepping back, that they're going to be overlooked for other women or men who seem, quote, more focused on their job. And one of the biggest encouragements that I've experienced in my entire time at Heritage is that every time I have mentioned that I'm pregnant or have talked about children or how much I value the family, I get nothing but support and affirmation from the people around me, my directors, my bosses, who recognize both that I love the work that I do and want to continue excelling in that, but also that family is the most important thing and there's nothing that can replace that. One of the best stories that illustrates the way that workplaces can support families and support women in a very real way happened when my daughter was 5 months old. I was called in for a late in the day news hit. I was home with my daughter. I didn't have anyone to watch her that last minute, so I brought her in. A secretary offered to watch her and was playing with her. And as I came back from the news hit, I saw an email from my vice president simply saying baby sounds. And my heart dropped. I hadn't brought my daughter in before. I was so nervous that she would disrupt the place or somehow look unserious in the work that I was doing. And so I opened the email incredibly nervous, and it simply said, "Emma, thank you so much for bringing your daughter into work today. It was such a blessing to hear her baby sounds giggling and cooing outside my door. Your daughter is always welcome here." And that one email alone has done more to encourage and solidify the support that I think businesses should offer mothers, but also affirm what we know to be true, which is that there's nothing more important than children, and that should be affirmed in every sphere of government and work and private life. When it comes to how our culture talks about marriage and motherhood, I think there are two things. The first is that we simply need to have a pro-marriage and pro-motherhood discussion. We're so quick to caveat and say, well, for some people, sometimes it doesn't go poorly. Well, sometimes this situation, and those are all very true things that we should have the greatest sympathy for. But in our attempt to be inclusive of all situations, I think we fail to lead with the strongest and truest message, which is that married women in America are the happiest by self-reported means. Married women with children are even happier, because even beyond the personal romance or love or satisfaction that comes from that, there's this very real sense that when you orient your life towards something greater than yourself, when you actually sacrifice your life for the well-being of others within the unit of marriage and motherhood, there is this almost indescribable joy and purpose that comes from that, that's a greater fuel than any of the other pursuits or goals that we could have apart from that. The second thing is that our culture has created this false dichotomy where we have the girl boss who puts career first and she's all about breaking glass ceilings and pursuing success, and marriage and children are secondary, if at all, discussed in that framework. Or you have the trad wife movement where it says women should be at home and they should wear flowy dresses and bake bread all day, and like that is life. And neither of those are real or actually what women really want fully. And I think what we need is a really healthy conversation where we say, given the incredible advances in technology, the remote and flexible work we can offer today, what does it actually look like to place family first, but then within that, make time for creative outlets and for work and for meaningful expressions of who we are, including our family, but also beyond the family, and have a far more nuanced conversation on that ground too. My advice advice to mothers in this season, especially when they have young children, is that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. All of the sacrifices and all of the difficult moments and the times that you ask, is it even worth it? What am I doing? Is any of this going to matter? And the answer is a resounding yes. This time where you're investing in your children, you're bringing new life into the world, there is nothing that you will do that you will look back and be more proud of. And so even as you pursue other things and you do other great things in your life, to be able to prioritize and be present in this season is, I think, one of the most challenging and yet one of the most rewarding things that we can do. For women who are thinking about marriage or thinking about motherhood, my advice always falls along the lines of not falling into extremes one way or the other. We can oftentimes get worked up in our minds and have this very fear-based discussion where we say, if we get married or if we have kids, then that means I lose all of these things. I lose my body, I lose my time, I lose my sense of self, I lose my career. This is terrible, and you just want to run away or delay. And I think to the degree that you can just resist all extremes on that front and just very practically have conversations where you say, am I interested in marriage? Do I want to have children? If yes, then what can I be doing now to prepare myself well for that? Does that mean that I pursue one career over another because I know it will allow me to scale up and scale down as I have children in a way that actually meets my goals for being present with my kids? Or is it thinking about ways that you can be invested in communities that will allow you to meet the kind of men that you would want to marry? I think those are the very practical questions we should be thinking through, just so that we on the front end are being very proactive in how we think about marriage and motherhood. Because the last thing that you want is to A, fall into an extreme and make decisions that you'll regret in the future, or B, not have these conversations and then find yourself 5, 10 years down the road, still not married and still without kids and not knowing where to start. There's so much practical advice and there's so many great mentors who can help walk through these questions. And so the best thing that you can do is to start having those conversations now so that you're on the front end in the driver's seat, really being proactive and not feeling like you're reacting to the circumstances you're given. Giving in to the lie that marriage and motherhood will ruin your life could actually be the thing holding you back from the greatest adventure you've ever embarked on.